to our Danielle Nottingham, who has brought us a lot of great stories this week, Danielle. So we're so glad that you are back in the streaming studio again. And you've got a story that ties sports and history and culture. You've got to look at the Black Quarterback exhibit, right?
Yeah. It's at the College Football Hall of Fame, which is in downtown Atlanta, and they've devoted part of the space to telling the story of the black quarterback in college and how it's transitioned to today and into the NFL.
How much, and I think we have your story queued up here. Danielle, do you want us to take that now, and then we can chat afterwards?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it.
4 years, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years.
For generations, the sports world questioned the intelligence and leadership of black quarterbacks.
Are you skilled enough mentally to know how to digest and interpret and reflect a full playbook? Are you smart enough?
I still can hear the noise where people saying I can't throw the ball.
Through narration from the athletes themselves, the College Football Hall of Fame chronicles how they overcame discrimination.
A lot of them play for HBCUs.
One example is NFL MVP Steve McNair, who attended Alcorn State, an HBCU. It was one of the few paths available for black athletes to lead the huddle.
Some of the challenges that we found through talking with these respected guys is, how did the media cover me? How was I perceived by my peers? Was I able to integrate myself into certain communities that didn't have a diverse population?
The exhibit features USC's Jimmy Jones, the first black QB to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Grambling State's Doug Williams, who was the first black QB to start and win a Super Bowl. And Syracuse QB Don McPherson, who suffered 2 season-ending injuries but still made the university's Hall of Fame.
Even modern day, Syracuse has an African-American head coach, which I believe some of these stories are showing us how you can pay it forward.
That legacy is visible in the NFL today, where black QBs make up half of all starters for the first time in league history. Players like Jameis Winston and College Park's own Cam Newton helped pave the way with a rare feat, winning the Heisman Trophy and a college championship in the same year.
Some of these challenges that these quarterbacks have faced, they still face nowadays. So we want to show not only an exhibit that impacted our past, but we want to bring it forward and let everyone know that if given the opportunity, you too can succeed as well.
More than black history, these are trailblazers in college football. In downtown Atlanta, Danielle Nottingham, 11 Alive News.
And Danielle, obviously we are in February, it's Black History Month, and all week long you have been sharing these stories that blend our past and our present with a look and an eye kind of towards the future, too. Yeah. When you were at the College Football Hall of Fame and having those conversations, was there a moment that really resonated with you?
Yeah, I think, well, one, there's so many people we don't know of that played, and they weren't able, I shouldn't say to make it very far, but as I was mentioning in the story, there was an opportunity, and it was, can you read the playbook? Can you lead on the field? And so these guys would want to be quarterbacks, and then they would get to the league or get to a certain team, and they'd switch their positions. And then also when you, like in the beginning of that story, when you look at the board of who won the Heisman Trophy, there's this large gap, like a 10, 15-year gap, and then it's 1, 2, 3 years. So you can see where the tide was turning and where the progress was being made in as far as respecting the black quarterback.
And there's a real historical element to this too. Not many people know this, but the first commissioner effectively of the first professional football league that went on to be the NFL was Jim Thorpe, who was a Native American and by far the most talented athlete of his day. And then after a few years later, it was the color barrier was really erected in professional football, and you see this college football impact there as well that you've told us about. What did the College Football Hall of Fame folks tell you about where they think things are going? I know the gentleman you interviewed mentioned a lot of progress has been made. You pointed out about half of NFL quarterbacks now are black, but he mentioned too, look, there's a lot of road still to go here.
And I think that it almost leaps into not talking about the quarterbacks anymore, just like he was saying. Hey, look at Don McPherson at Syracuse. And because he opened that door, they now have an African-American head coach. And so maybe the tide needs to turn a little bit in that sense in the National Football League. We don't see a lot of African-American coaches. So his whole concept was it's a trickle-down effect. Right? It's kind of like paying back. You blow the door open so somebody behind you can come in. And besides it being a massive place,
It's a huge facility.
It was my first time there. Huge facility. There were already some exhibits that were already dedicated to black quarterbacks, but they made this particular section for them. But another cool room was the Heisman Trophy portrait room. And again, you can see with your eyes the progress that was over the years. It starts with white athletes, and then all of a sudden it stops, and you start seeing the black quarterbacks getting weaved into the mix of everything. So it's very visual, a lot of great information. I mean, and who doesn't like football?
Who doesn't? You know, and in so many ways, football is one of the few real, true, big tentpole events that we all still gather around. You know, almost the fireplace. It's the television now, but something we all experience, or at least most of us in America, together at the same time. 100+ million of us are going to experience the Super Bowl on Sunday. For the fans, did you get a sense at all of how the representation and how the way the quarterbacks are talked about impacts their perception of the game?
I think so. I think everything surrounding it, but I think we're in a new era now. We're in a new generation where we're seeing these young guys. They're winning Heismans, they're winning national championships, and then the next thing you see, they're the first round pick. So they can't think in their head a time when they never saw someone like like a Jalen Hurts or a Caleb Williams, Penix.
The opportunities are there and right in front of you.
They're right there. And when you talk about the Super Bowl, one of the people that they dedicated it to was Doug Williams, who, the first to start, the first black quarterback to win. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, is this a little told story? Do we remember this or not? So it's good to have a place where you can go back and be like, oh, yeah, that happened. That's what he did.
A lot of history made in many Super Bowls. We're going to be watching to see what happens this weekend as well, with an eye on our past, and that you have so rightly illuminated for us. Danielle, thank you very much.
Thank you.